Welcome back to another game of Pauper Duel Commander. Pauper Duel Commander, or PDC, is a format of Magic the Gathering that's sort of a cross between Pauper, a format where you only play with commons, and Duel Commander, a format where you play Commander, but 1v1. In Pauper Duel Commander, each deck must have 99 unique commons, which must match the color identity of the commander. That commander must be an uncommon creature, but it doesn't have to be legendary. You start at 25 life, and you can take 21 commander damage. For more information on the format, such as which cards are banned, check out the link in the description below for PDH home base. Today we're going to have a great match between two PDC heavyweights, Armix and Toggo, and Dargo and Esior. Both of these decks are top tier, and the match will be extremely interesting. I'll be piloting Armix and Toggo, my friend Nathan will be at the helm of Dargo and Esior. Armix and Toggo is a controlling deck with a lot of card advantage, a ton of removal, and some artifact synergy. Dargo and Esior is a mid-range / aggressive deck that cheats a giant 7/5 with trample and ward 3 into play, usually on turn 3, but it could be earlier. Write down your prediction in the chat on who will take it. Will Rakdos artifacts be able to keep the big man in check, or will the bird and the giant pirate smash their way through? Without anything else, let's get started. I start us off with a fetch land, which gains me a life, and I search my library for a snow-covered mountain. Nathan plays a tap land and passes back. On my turn, I play a Mortuary Mire, but I don't trigger it, and I pass back. Nathan plays an Opal Palace, and then pays 2 for his commander, Esior Wardwing Familiar. On my turn, I untap and draw, and then play a snow-covered Swamp as my land for turn, and then pay 3 for a Fleshbag Marauder, which forces both of us to sacrifice a creature. I sacrifice the Marauder, and he sacrifices his commander, Esior. Disappointed, he untaps and plays a tap land for turn, and then pays 1, a Moonsnare Prototype, and passes back. On my turn, I untap and draw, and then pay 3 for my commander, Toggo, Goblin, Weaponsmith, and then I play a Bojuka Bog, exiling his graveyard, which gives me a rock. He untaps and draws. He plays a Seat of the Synod as his land for turn, and then pays 4 for his commander again, Esior Wardwing Familiar, and he passes back. On my turn, I untap and draw, and then play a tap land to get another rock. And then pay 4 for a Vicious Battle Rager, which starts the initiative. The first trigger is to go get a land from your deck, so I search up a land and put it in my hand. I get a snow-covered mountain, and then I pass back. He pays 3 for a Patron of the Arts, which gives him a treasure token. He then taps the Moonsnare Prototype and the Patron of the Arts. Pays with 1 land, and then sacks the treasure, which gives him 3 towards Dargo. So he's at 4, 5, and then he sacrifices the Patron and his artifact land for 6, 7, 8, 9. Opal Palace giving a counter on Dargo, making him an 8/6. And he attacks for 1 with Esior, which gives him the initiative, and he starts on the first one, which is Secret Entrance, to search his library for a land card and put it in his hand. He gets an island, and he plays it as his land for turn. And he passes. On my turn, I untap and draw. And I get another rock when I play my land. And then I sacrifice that rock, and I pay 2 for Power Stone Fracture. And then I pay 3 for Ward, and this is targeting Dargo. He sacrifices his treasure and pays with his island to cast Muddle the Mixture, countering the Power Stone Fracture. This is unfortunate because that was my plan to take back the initiative, but instead I just stick a rock on Toggo and I pass the turn. With both his commanders in play, he untaps and he draws for turn. And he triggers the Undercity again, going to Forge, putting 2 counters on Dargo, bringing him to 3 counters total, making him a 10-8. He attacks and I don't block. And then in his second main phase, he pays 1 for a Chain Lightning, killing Toggo. He then taps the Moonsnare prototype. And 2 lands to play Voldaren Epicure, which brings in a blood token. And he passes the turn. I untap and draw, and play an Underdark Explorer, taking back the initiative and going to the second level of the Undercity, putting 2 counters on my Vicious Battle Rager. I then pay 1 for a Voltage Surge, targeting the Voldaren Epicure, killing it. I play my land for turn, a Swamp, and then pay 1 for Unearth, targeting Fleshbag Marauder. When it comes back, we both have to sacrifice a creature. I choose the Fleshbag Marauder, and he chooses Esior Wardwing Familiar, leaving his 10-8 Dargo in play. At the end of his turn, he sacrifices his blood, discarding Infernal Plunge and drawing a card. He then untaps and draws. And he pays 2 and exiles his graveyard for a Treasure Cruise, drawing 3 cards. He then pays 1 for a Gold Hound. He taps the Moonsnare and the Gold Hound and a land to play Prized Statue, which gives him a treasure. He then immediately sacrifices that treasure to play Lightning Bolt, targeting the Underdark Explorer and killing it. He then attacks with his Dargo, which he forgot to tap him, but he attacks with his Dargo. I have to block or else I will be dead to the initiative next turn, and I go to 6. I untap and draw. And I pay 2 life for Night's Whisper, and draw 2. Unfortunately, they're both lands, and I scoop. So Dargo and Esior take game 1. On game 2, Armix and Toggo will be on the play. We both keep, and I start us off with a fetch land, Evolving Wilds, I believe. Getting a Snow-Covered Swamp from my library, and I pass. On his turn, he plays an island. And then pays 1 for a Myr Moon Vessel, which is a 1/1 that when it dies, it adds 1 to his mana pool. I decide to use my cast down on the Moon Vessel, because it's not going to be good on much else in this game, and I pass. He untaps and draws. Plays a Snow-Covered Mountain as his land for turn. And then pays 1 for Goldhound. And then he pays 1 for Chromatic Star. And he passes back. On my turn, I untap and draw. I play a Snow-Covered Mountain as my land for turn, and then pay 3 for Armix, Filigree, Thrasher. Armix is a 3/2 that when he attacks, you can discard a card, and target creature gets -X, -X, where X is the number of artifacts I control, plus artifacts in my graveyard. On his turn, he plays a tap land, and then pays 2 for Esior, Wardwing, Familiar. Unfortunately, he can't get enough to play his commander, and he passes back. I attack with my Armix, and I discard a 5-mana creature that I can't actually remember the name of at this moment, targeting his Goldhound and killing it. He then declines to block and takes 3. My second main phase, I play a Pointed Discussion, which costs 2 life and 3, and I draw 2 and make a blood token. I play a tap land as my land for turn, and I pass back. He untaps and draws. Plays a mountain. And then pays 1 for a Terrarian, which enters tapped. He then sacrifices the Chromatic Star and the Terrarion, and pays for Dargo, drawing 2 cards for the Terrarion and the Chromatic Star. He attacks with Esior, hitting me for 1 and taking me to 22. My turn, I untap and draw. And I attack with Armix again. This time I'm discarding a Filigree Thrasher, which brings me to 3 artifacts, and I target Esior. The 3 artifacts are the Blood Token, Armix himself, and the Filigree Familiar. This kills Esior, and I have to pay for the ward. My second main phase, I play a land, and then I pay 2 for a Gurmag Angler and exile my graveyard. He untaps and draws, plays Island as his land for turn, and then plays 3 for a Patron of the Arts, getting a treasure token. He decides not to attack into the fish, and he passes the turn. On my turn, I untap and draw. I play 2 for a Deadly Dispute, sacrificing the Blood Token, which makes a treasure and draws 2. I then attack with Armix and the fish for 8 total. I discard him to Turok, and I target the Patron of the Arts. This gives it -2/-2, killing it. He gets a second treasure token. He decides to block the Armix. Before damage, I play a Voltage Surge, and I don't sacrifice anything. He responds with a Disruption Protocol, countering it, and he taps a treasure to do so. This kills Armix in combat, and Dargo survives. He takes 5 for the fish, and second main phase, I play a Fleshbag Marauder, sacrificing the Fleshbag Marauder, and he sacrifices Dargo. And I pass the turn. He untaps and draws. And he plays an island as his land for turn. And then he plays Dargo again, sacrificing both treasures for 6 total towards Dargo, and then paying 3 to get to 9. He doesn't do anything else and passes back. I untap and draw. And I attack with my fish. He decides not to block, and he goes to 9. My second main phase, I play Emergency Weld, trying to return an artifact or creature from my graveyard to my hand and make a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. He responds by delving his graveyard and paying 2 to play Logic Knot. I can't pay, and Emergency Weld is countered. I then pay 3 for Toggo for the first time this game. And I pass. He untaps and draws. And he attacks with Dargo. I take it, going to 15. He then pays 4 for Esior, Wardwing, Familiar. And he passes. I untap and draw. And I attack with the fish. He decides not to block and takes 5, going to 4. On my second main phase, I play an Executioner's Capsule. And then I pay the full price, 4, for a Bone Picker, a 3/2 flying Death Touch. At the end of my turn, he pays 1 to play Frostbite, killing the Bone Picker. He then untaps and draws. He pays 1 for Conjurer's Bauble, and then immediately sacrifices it to put a card from his graveyard on the bottom of his library and to draw a card. He plays Mountainous Land for turn and decides to go in with Dargo for 7. I take it, going to 8. I play a Mountain as my land for turn, getting a rock. I then pay 2 for the Executioner's Capsule, and then 3 for the ward, targeting Esior. He has nothing, and Esior dies. And I attack with the fish for 5, killing him. All he had left in hand was a land. So now we're 1-1, going to game 3. Dargo and Esior start us off with a tap land. And on my turn, I play a swamp and pass. On his turn, he plays Esior, and at the end of his turn, I cycle an Ash Barrens to get a mountain from my library and put it in my hand. I untap and draw, play that mountain, and then pay 2 for Scrapwork Mutt, discarding a resourceful return and drawing a card. saw that there, I drew a Diabolic Edict. That'll come in handy in a little bit. On his turn, he plays a Krinkos command, making 2 1/1 red goblins. And he attacks with Esior in the air, taking me to 24. I untap and draw. And then pay 2 for a Deadly Dispute, sacrificing the Scrapwork Mutt, making a treasure. My second main phase, I pay the mana I forgot to pay for the Deadly Dispute and play a tap land, and I pass the turn. He untaps and draws. He plays an island as his land for turn. And then pays a red for an Infernal Plunge, sacrificing a Goblin and making 3 red mana. That counts 5 towards Dargo. So 1 more Goblin is 6/7. Eight, 9. So I think he might have overpaid there. I untap and draw. And I play that Diabolic Edict. He sacrifices Esior. I then play a Lightning Bolt targeting Dargo and a Frostbite targeting Dargo for a total of 5, killing him. My second main phase, I play a Bojuka Bog and I pass the turn. He plays a Path to Ancestry as his land for turn and then pays 4 for Esior again. I untap and draw. And pay 2 for a Sign in Blood, losing 2 life, going 22. And draw 2 cards. I then play a Swamp. And I pay 2 for a Virus Beetle, making him discard a card. He discards a land. And I pass the turn. He plays a Mountain as his land for turn. And then pays 1 for a Voldarin Epicure, making a blood token. He then sacrifices both for 4 towards Dargo. And then pays 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And he attacks for 1. He forgets to scry for Dargo there, but he does in a little bit. My turn, I pay 2 for a Terminate, and then pay 3 for Ward, targeting Dargo. That kills Dargo, and then I attack for 1 with my Virus Beetle. I save the land in my hand for Toggo next turn, and I pass. He untaps and draws, and plays a tap land. He then attacks for 1 in the air with Esior, taking me to 19. And he passes back. My turn, I untap and draw. And then I pay 3 for Toggo. And then play that land and get a rock. And then pay 3 for Armix. And I attack with the Virus Beetle, taking him to 23. At the end of my turn, he pays 1 for a Scred targeting Armix, killing it. On his turn, he untaps and draws. He plays an island as his land for turn, and then pays 3 for a Bloody Betrayal, targeting Toggo. This steals Toggo and makes a blood token. He hits me with Toggo and Esior, taking me to 16, giving me 2 Toggo commander damage. And then he sacrifices Toggo and the blood token and pays 11 for Dargo. He also has to sacrifice a land. With a lot less stuff on my board, I untap. Start off with a very sad Bone Splitter. Then pay 4 for a Throne of the Black Rose, which gives me Monarch and a Death Touch creature. Then I attach the rock to the Thorn of the Black Rose. If I can untap with that, I can throw it for Death Touch damage at any creature. I draw for Monarch and pass. On his turn, he untaps and draws and plays a bounce land as his land for turn. And then decides to attack on the ground into the Death Touch creature just to get rid of it with Dargo. I block, and they trade, and I take 5 damage. He gets Monarch, and he draws for Monarch and passes. I play that Emergency Weld again from last game, and this time he does not have the counter, and I get Thorn back to my hand and a 1/1 Artifact Soldier token. I play a land and then pay 4 for Thorn of the Black Rose, taking back Monarch and getting a Death Touch creature. I attach that Bone Splitter to the Virus Beetle and I attack for 3, taking him to 20 and pass back. He untaps and draws, plays a land, and attacks for 1 in the air, taking back Monarch. And he draws for Monarch and passes. I untap and draw. And then pay 1 to put a rock onto Thorn of the Black Rose, and then I pay 3 for Ward and 1 for the rock, so 5 total, to throw that Death Touch rock at the bird. This kills it. And I attack for 3 with the beetle again, and 1 with the soldier, for 4 total, taking him to 16. I get back Monarch, and in second main phase, I play him to Turok, making him discard 2 cards at random. He discards 2 land. And I pass, drawing for Monarch. On his turn, he pays 1 for a Flayer Husk, getting the Germ token, and passes. I untap and draw. He realizes he wanted to play Esior, and he pays 6 and plays Esior. Then it's my turn. I play a Galvanic Blast for 1 and paying 3 for Ward, targeting Esior. He responds with a Voltage Surge targeting the Soldier token, which takes me to just 3 artifacts, or just 2 artifacts, not enough for Metalcraft, making it just 2 damage on Esior. I then stick the Bone Splitter onto the Soldier token. I pay 1 for my own Voltage Surge, targeting the Germ. and then attack for 3 with the Soldier token, and 1 Death Touch with the Thorn of the Black Rose. And I draw for Monarch. He's at 12. On his turn, he untaps and draws, and then pays 2 to stick the equipment onto Esior, and then pays 1 for a Pyrite Spellbomb. He attacks with Esior in the air for 2 and gets back Monarch, taking me to 8. He draws for Monarch, and I untap and draw. I attack for 3. 4, actually. Before damage, he channels a Moonsnare prototype, and I put Thorn of the Black Rose on top of my deck after a lot of thought. And then still before damage, he pays 1 to sacrifice Pyrite Spellbomb, blowing up the Soldier token, leaving me with just a Bone Splitter on the board. I pay 2 for a Devour Flesh, making him sacrifice his commander, but gaining him 4 life, taking him to 16. Commander now costs 8. I then pay 5 for my commander, Armix, Filigree Thrasher, and I pass the turn. He pays 8 for his bird again, and he passes drawing for Monarch. Or he scries first, and then he passes drawing for Monarch. I untap and draw. I pay 1 to put the Bone Splitter onto Armix, and I attack. I discard a Wrath, Eyeblight Massacre, I believe, and target the bird. I pay 3 for Ward, and it gets -3, -3, 1 for the Bone Splitter, 1 for Armix, and 1 for that Mutt that's in the graveyard. Now, I did forget to pay that 3 in the video. That's the one big mistake of this series. So I should not have that Thorn of the Black Rose in play here. But I do take Monarch from hitting him with the Armix either way. So I draw for Monarch. On his turn, he untaps and draws. And plays an Experimental Synthesizer, flipping Disruption Protocol. Not what he wanted here. He then sacrifices the Experimental Synthesizer and the equipment and pays 13 for Dargo the Shipwrecker. On my turn, I untap and I draw. I draw Scred, and I don't have to pay for Ward, and I target Dargo, killing it for a perfect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I then unearth my Scrapwork Mutt, discarding Ash Barrens and drawing a card. And I attack for perfect lethal. Now, if I hadn't played that Thorn of the Black Rose last turn, I'd be short 1 here, but I don't think it would have changed the game either way. Wow, what a great game from both decks. We really got to see the persistence of Dargo and Esior casting both commanders again and again and again. But in the end, Armix and Toggo were able to keep them at bay. Did this play out how you expected? Put a comment in the chat below of what you thought, and if you enjoyed the video and want to see more like this in the future, hit that like button. Thanks for watching some great Pauper Duel Commander, and I'll see you next time.